Hello, Mr. Fine Voice! Did my appearance startle you?
No, I just like to yelp in surprise all the time. Jeez!
Oh, I'm sorry. I just have a habit of being here.
Yeah, I take it you're the ghoul of Christmas present?
That would be me.
Look, I'm really not in the mood for all this mumbo-jumbo, so why don't we just skip it, okay?
Okay.
What, no argument?
Well, what's the point in arguing? I can't force you to do anything.
Okay, then take me back to my hotel room.
I would, but I'm not the one who brought you here.
What are you? Hello and welcome. Criminy!
Yeah, I don't think we should interrupt.
So, like I said back in the Brave and the Bold number 54 video, next year I'm gonna do a retrospective on my favorite era of the Titans. But we should also do something other than just their origins. In this case, talk about the Fab Five, the original 5 team members. And what do you know? In the original run on the Titans comics, they had a Christmas issue. You're all probably familiar with Kid Flash, Aqualad, and Robin from that previous video, but what about the remaining 2? Well, first up is Speedy. I bet you remember him, don't you? He was the Teen Titan who bravely overcame his heroin addiction, had a wonderful daughter, who was then killed in a miniseries that had nothing to do with her, and he had his arm cut off. Then he got a cyborg arm, got addicted to China Cat, became a villain for really stupid reasons, saw a zombie ghost of his dead daughter, and now that daughter never existed because of the dumbass reboot. What's that? I should be happy that Cry for Justice never happened in the reboot? Ha ha ha! Yeah, it's kinda hard for me to feel happy about that when instead of Roy Harper being an interesting, unique character as a single father, he's bumming around with Jason Todd, never shutting his gob, and wearing a stupid frickin' trucker hat. What's that? You want me to do a proper review of Red Hood and the Outlaws? Well, by this point, everyone should know my complaints. I read the first 9 issues, and I find the characters unlikable, the artwork weak at best, the plot's irritating, and did I mention Roy Harper's stupid frickin' trucker hat? If you like the book, good for you. But I gave it a shot, and I think it blows, much like 90% of the 2011 reboot. Oh, and speaking of reboots, let's talk about Donna Troy. Yes, the final member of the original 5 Teen Titans. We've talked about her before back in the Countdown reviews, but it's time for a refresher course. Donna Troy, the original Wonder Girl, was created completely by accident. Bob Haney, the creator of the Teen Titans in general, and the writer of the original Brave and the Bold story we covered, expanded the group to include 2 more teenage characters to round out the Junior Justice League idea. Speedy was a given, but Haney didn't really read Wonder Woman. However, he did see a cover that featured Wendy teaming up with Wonder Girl and figured it was Diana's teenage sidekick. The problem being that, well, she wasn't. You see, the Silver Age was kind of insane. And no, I don't hate the Silver Age. I'm just saying it like it is. The Silver Age was frickin' nuts. And Wonder Girl is a perfect example of this. For you see, Wonder Girl is not a separate character, she's a time-traveling younger version of Wonder Woman, and not only did Wonder Woman team up with her, but also the time-traveling toddler version of Wonder Woman named Wonder Tot. And yes, this was perfectly normal during this era of comics. Need I remind you of Bat Baby, wherein a mad scientist used an evil ray of science that turned Batman into a baby, or the sitcom antics of Super Baby. But anyway, yeah, Bob Haney created Wonder Girl as her own character, and it wasn't until a few years later that they actually gave her a proper origin story. And that brings us to where we are now, a Teen Titans comic that also is from the Silver Age, but it happens to be Christmas related. You know, one of these days I'll actually be able to get back to reviewing comics that aren't older than I am. In the meantime, though, let's dig into Teen Titans number 13.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky
Let us all now sing our praises to the Lord today.
Like Superman's Christmas Adventure, I'm reading this one from the A DC Universe Christmas trade paperback, so no cover analysis. Before we get to the comic proper, I should probably explain some weirdness concerning the trade version versus the original comic. Now, of course, for a modern trade collection of older material, they'll buff up the colors and make them look nicer. However, after reading some descriptions of the material and seeing reference to stuff that wasn't in the trade, I went and hunted down scans of the original comic itself. Well, here's the thing. The trade is not the first time this comic has been reprinted. In fact, it's been reprinted a few times, but in particular for two Christmas with the Superheroes specials, once in 1975 and again in 1988. While I can't find scans of the 1975 reprint, the 1988 version seems to be based on that version, and subsequently so is the one in the trade I'm reading from. What's different? Well, mostly the colors. They completely altered the colors in a lot of spots, for better and for worse. For example, the original opening teaser page I think is actually a lot stronger and more visually interesting than the updated one, whose colors are, well, a bit sillier and lacking the moody snow background and coloration for the four characters. However, the big change is that page 2 of the original comic is completely missing. The page is admittedly rather pointless and feels more like a glorified ad for other comics, but it's still a part of the comic. There's no reason why you shouldn't reprint it. As such, I'm going to talk about it once we get to it, although for the most part, we're going to stick to the reprint version because that's what I've got in my hands. However, I will try to let you know if something important is altered from the original. The teaser page starts us off with some guy who needs a comb pleading on his knees while surrounded by 3 guys in purple robes and another person wearing a rather low-cut outfit for them to show off their legs. Nice gams, though. Oh, ghost of Christmas past, present, and future! And ghost of Christmas pantyhose, I guess. So, wait, they're supposed to represent the ghosts of all time periods? Man, budget cuts must have hit them hard if they're all dressing in the same robes. We want you to undo the wrongs you've done, you old skinflint, or we'll haunt you out of your grotty mind! I am the ghost of vocabulary past. Charles Dickens has been long dead. Ha! Well, clearly you've never seen the movie The Riddle, wherein we learn that Charles Dickens is an immortal murderous hobo. But his great books, his fabulous characters, live on. Well, except for Sidney Carton, but that's kind of a given. In fact, his stories are so alive today that they keep on happening. So join you here, that fantastic foursome, ye Teen Titans, for a holiday happening inspired by the immortal pages of the greatest Yuletide tale of them all. Greatest Yuletide tale of them all? Ha! Somehow I doubt that this comic was inspired by Santa with muscles. Yes, deck yourselves with boughs of holly. And park under the mistletoe most marvelous. Make out with a random stranger instead of reading this. As we begin, the TT's Swingin' Christmas Carol! I shall now refer to the Teen Titans as the TT's from now on. We begin with that page that was cut out of the reprints. 2 days before Christmas, and the silent snow falls secretly over a hillside in the country. And on that advertisement in the back for the Adam West Batman series. Nice. Inside the hill, 4 famed figures, like everyone else, wait breathlessly for Santa. Geez, Superman sure is taking his sweet time flying Santa around everywhere. He should have been here hours ago. And what are they doing while waiting? Well, before Plants vs. Zombies was invented, people read stuff like comic books. Weird, right? And that's what the team is doing. Reading comics. Aside from Robin, who's reading A Christmas Carol. The others are unimpressed. Hey Robin, how can you read that corny old tale? It's like nowhere! Yeah, Robin, you've got to read more modern stuff, like that Superman comic where he shoots rainbows out of his fingers that form into miniature versions of himself. Check, Boy Wonder, get with it! This Aquaman is cool, wet, and wild! Oh, the 1960s, where everything you say sounds like a porno. And the kid with him, he's dynamite! Clearly, these are not the actual Teen Titans, but a bunch of cosplayers who are taking it way too seriously. Actually, this does raise an interesting point. Both Marvel and DC have shown that within their own universes, they actually do have comic books printed about the heroes. Mind you, if their identities aren't publicly known, the writers within the universe make up their own origins, but it's really kind of weird and metatextual like that. Wonder if they have merchandising rights for this stuff and get income from it. Very funny, Gillhead. Ha ha ha! Oh, Robin, you racist. But I enjoy old stories about Christmas. Charles Dickens was quite a writer. But that story's definitely ungroovy these days. Unlike us, we'll never become dated. And yeah, A Christmas Carol is completely ungroovy. That's why it's had dozens of adaptations in various forms, critical analysis, parodies, and has stood the test of time, whereas you guys got a cartoon that, while very good and enjoyable, had to rip off anime cliches to try to get hip with the then modern audiences. And no, I'm not insulting the animated series. I liked the animated series. I'm just saying it's kind of stupid to insult A Christmas Carol for being ungroovy when your series isn't even 5 years old. Who could believe in such uncool characters as Scrooge or Bob Cratchit, all that old jazz? Yeah, people being evil are completely unrealistic. Say, who was it you fought against in your inaugural issue? An asshole who enslaved children with his magic weather staff? Yeah, Scrooge is the unrealistic one. Anyway, that argument is enough to convince Robin to put down the book and pick up a Batman comic. Good to see that Bruce has instilled a love of the classics in the kid. Yes, Dickens' A Christmas Carol is just a dusty, corny old classic. Yeah, because ghosts, the fear of death, an in-depth character piece, and social commentary are corny. And like it couldn't happen today. Or could it? Tell me about it.
Look, you're obviously upset. Let's break for a commercial.
Commercial? What the hell are you talking about? What the hell just happened?
Unnecessary evil to sustain a livelihood.
It felt really cold. In this Christmas of 1967, are things and people, the spirit of the season, really any different than they ever were? Damn right! Treatments for various diseases that existed at the time are totally the same as in the past. We cut to a junkyard owned by Ebenezer Scrouge. I know it's supposed to be a play on Scrooge, but we once again follow the tradition of supervillains having a name that sounds like something. Dude is named Scrouge, so he owns a junkyard. Brilliant. And of course, because this is their telling of A Christmas Carol, our Bob Cratchit is Bob Ratchet. Subtlety, Thy Name is Teen Titans comic. Naturally, Bob Ratchet wants Christmas off, but Scrouge just says it'd be a waste of his time and money. But sir, everyone celebrates Christmas. Except for, you know, all the people who don't celebrate Christmas. Still, Scrouge says he can have Christmas off if he keeps at the books, and Ratchet thinks to himself that he needs the job for his family. My kid, Tiny Tom. You actually named your kid Tiny Tom? Needs that automatic wheelchair for Christmas so he can get around and have a little fun. That's admirable, but there's a reason why Tiny Tim was sickly in the original version and not just wanted a better cane, you know. Scrouge sends Ratchet home early as some crooks arrive, and Ratchet is all too happy to leave. However, it seems his son decided to pay his father a visit at work. In his wheelchair. In a snowstorm. Forget an automatic wheelchair, Ratchet. I think you might want to invest in a new brain for your son. Not seeing his father in the office, Tom rolls around to the back and spots Ratchet making a business deal for some of his junk. After Ratchet leaves, he spots one of the goons using some kind of ray gun that shoots pink energy at some wrecked material and, get this, transforms the junk into brand new material. Mr. Big sure has a good thing going here, importing junk from overseas and then turning it back into brand new expensive stuff that he can sell at big profits without paying any duty. It's foolproof! You have a device that changes broken stuff into new stuff, and you haven't patented the hell out of it? Wow, they're smugglers! No they aren't! There is nothing illegal going on here. This is no different than somebody buying something used, fixing it up, and then reselling it. The only difference is that they have a magic gun that does the fixing. This isn't smuggling. This is what normal people do all the damn time. Tom manages to hurry back to his dad and tell him what's up. He says they should go to the police, but Ratchet thinks that Scrounge should explain himself first. So he goes to the guy, and Scrounge naturally doesn't give a rat's ass what they're doing as long as they pay him. Scrounge threatens Ratchet to not tell the police or he's fired, and what's more, tells him that he will work on Christmas just to keep an eye on him. And so he takes his son home, geez, this kid must have frostbite by now considering how long he's been out in the cold this evening, and tells him he can't risk losing the job. How could I buy that electric wheelchair for you? I promised your mom before she died. You promised your wife on her deathbed to get her son an electric wheelchair? I think she'd understand, dude! Fortunately, Tiny Tom has help he can call. Yes, the premise of the Teen Titans series at the time was that they would get called up by teenagers who were having problems and needed help. Kind of like a teenage superpowered A-team. And of course, as we learned in the Brave and the Bold number 54 review, all teenagers share a hive mind wherein they have the exact same opinions and way of speaking. As such, of course, all teenagers everywhere know how to get in contact with them. And so the four Titans arrive. Yeah, no Speedy in this one, so sadly no more jokes about his dead daughter or his goofy turn to evil. The four stow away on a truck that the quote-unquote crooks are using to transport the material. The crooks dump the junk in the middle of an open field for absolutely no reason, but are suddenly attacked by a shadowy figure who beats them up. After forcing the goons to run, the shadowy figure makes his escape and the Titans follow. Said shadowy figure arrives at Scrounge's house and knocks on his door. The figure starts yelling for Scrounge, who recognizes the voice. Jacob Farley! Jacob Farley? You know, when Doctor Who did A Christmas Carol, the Doctor was deliberate in trying to recreate the story. This is so unlikely that I'm starting to think the infinite improbability drive is somewhere in that junkyard. Oh, and Jacob Farley is dressed in stereotypical striped prison wear. Of course he is. Farley attacks Scrounge, wanting revenge for some wrong he committed, but the Titans storm in and intervene. Farley explains that the two used to be partners and had sold some defective material that ended up killing someone. As a result, Farley had the sole blame put on him. Scrounge, being a dick, decides to call the cops to throw them all out of his house, and in the commotion, Farley escapes. Come on, Titans, bug out! Okay, Robin. Robin points out the absurdity of the situation in that everyone resembles a character from A Christmas Carol, and instead of questioning the metaphysical aspect of this and the possibility of their lives being nothing but a work of fiction, they instead hit upon the idea to continue the story and get Scrounge to change his ways. On Christmas Eve, after Ratchet is sent home, Scrounge sticks around in case the goons show up again, but instead he's visited by Kid Flash wearing big purple robes and claiming to be the ghost of Christmas past. He shows Scrounge a photo of him in his younger days. Where the hell did they get that? Including his former lover who left him for another man. And that was it, apparently. Show Scrounge a photo and then leave. Brilliant strategy!
You magnificent bastard, I read your book!
Scrounge flees into the night, but is stopped by another Titan in the exact same robes, this time as the ghost of Christmas Present. Come on, guys, you didn't even try to make the spirits look distinct. You guys are really half-assing this. Anyway, they show him Ratchet digging around in the snow for components to fix his son's wheelchair, pointing out that the low pay wage is his fault. It's your fault his father must work on Christmas Day, and can't afford the new electric wheelchair so Tom can move about like other children. That's not what an electric wheelchair does, you know. Or do all the kids have electric wheelchairs? And finally, we have Wonder Girl showing up as the ghost of Christmas future. Being a mere girl, she had to show off her legs and not get the purple cloak, instead wearing a Santa-style robe. They play the sounds of people talking about Scrouge dying and no one caring, save for Tiny Tom, who says there's good in him. You know, just because there's good in him doesn't mean he isn't an asshole. However, the group is interrupted by the arrival of the Crooks, who are apparently accompanied by Mr. Big himself. Why is Mr. Big always the default criminal gang boss name? I mean, I know Mr. Tiny isn't going to be very intimidating, but you could always just go with another name. The Crooks shoot at Wonder Girl and apparently graze her, which is enough to knock her out and send her plummeting to the ground. The Crooks reveal that she's a Teen Titan, and Scrouge realizes he's been tricked. The other Titans arrive and attack the Crooks. Howling hogfish! Aqualad... Hogfish don't howl. In the storm of the battle, the junkyard's many pieces of, well, junk scatter all around the place. Wonder Chick, she'll be buried! Robin, she has super strength. I think she'll be fine. Well, actually, a mere winging by a bullet knocked her out cold, so what the hell? While Kid Flash deals with the junk pile, an electromagnet is activated that lifts Wonder Girl up to it by her bracelets. Suffering sticklebacks! Aqualad, stop shouting catchphrases! Donna finally wakes up as she's dropped into a car compactor. Merciful Minerva, give me strength! You can fly! Mr. Big activates some kind of anti-trespassing device for the area, and no, I have no idea what the hell the thing is. It just suddenly attracts the Titans into a big pile of junk and gets them trapped inside it. Nearby, Tiny Tom pleads with Scrounger to stop Mr. Big, while Aqualad gets sucked into the junk pile as well. Moaning Mackerel! Annoying Atlantean! Tom tries to intervene to save the Titans, but they just pull him from the wheelchair and wreck it for good measure. After witnessing this, Scrouge has a change of heart and saves the Titans, who quickly attack and kick the asses of the goons, knocking them into the junk pile. Your visit, says the three spirits, made me see what I was really like. Made me see what a miserable old miser I've become. I've learned that I can be an asshole, but still have a rich social life. Out of my way, losers! He says he'll give Ratchet a big raise and he doesn't have to come in on Christmas, plus he'll try to get Farley's sentence reversed. And so your dad won't have to spend his hard-earned money. I'll use Mr. Big's secret junk transformer to make your old wheelchair into a nice new electric model. What exactly is the setting for that? You know, setting from wheelchair to electric one. Is that on the turny knob dial thing for the device? And so our comic ends with our heroes all gathered together with Ratchet and Tom while speaking how Bob Haney thought teenagers talked. Check, Titans. Best wishes to all for a swingin' and groovy New Year. And bless us, everyone. I know the quote is God bless us, everyone, but God has nothing to do with this. Yeah, this comic sucks. Mostly. Looking past the goofy dialogue or the like, the main problem is the adaptation of A Christmas Carol. The ghosts are just really done with so fast that you'll wonder why they even bothered. Hell, they go out of their way to have everyone have close to the same names of the original, but apparently it didn't take much for Scrouge to turn good. What the hell was the deal with the so-called smugglers? They weren't doing anything wrong! However, while the story problems really drop this thing into sucks territory, I can give a huge positive to the original art and colors. While there was the occasional place where the revised edition's coloring was better, for the most part the original artwork was a hell of a lot moodier than the revised version, which helped the atmosphere of the story. The revised colors, like making the cloaks purple, are just bizarre, and in some cases they swap the colors of two characters side by side from the original version for no reason at all. Well, Christmas is next Monday, and hopefully it'll be a lot groovier than this comic. Jeez, my kid sure knows how to pick 'em.
Your kid?
The kid.
Mr. Fine Voice, where do you think you are right now?
Right, why don't you hit a camera? There we go.
Let us all now sing our praises to the Lord today. Although you may not share our belief system, which is perfectly okay.
Maybe you worship an abstract being that is kind of vague. Or maybe you just worship a guy whose name is Greg.
Perhaps your religion doesn't include a time called Lent, but whatever your religion is, we support you 100%.
So sit around the fire and have a chestnut roast, or raise a glass in toast to Happy Days Donny Most.
But if you prefer to eat Indian food on Christmas Day, I can only shrug my shoulders and say namaste, namaste.
Personally, I prefer turkey, gravy, and salad. But let's never forget, all cultures are valid.
So let's have peace on earth and cut out all the bull. Let's have a holiday season that's multicultural.
If there's one point we'd like to make with this festive holiday song,
it's that Christmas comes just once a year, so for a few days, for crying out loud, can we all just get along?
Okay, why the hell does Bob Ratchet look like Gerald Ford in the final panel?